As ZRL rolls on, we roll onto Zandvoort, a track which echoes the name of Max Verstappen's mastery, which ignites in inspiration, and for tonight would ignite in drama, courtesy of this racing division. Welcome, one and all, to one of the images of the Zoom Racing League season here in the X Division within this racing division. And for round 8 of the season, the Dutch Grand Prix is one that is very much enjoyed and will be enjoyed once more. So we have drivers heading out onto the track to get their qualifying underway. This short 18-minute qualifying session will separate and distinguish the drivers from fastest to slowest and will set the grid for the start of the Dutch Grand Prix. So then, it is my pleasure to be bringing you the action, and wherever you are in the world, thank you so very much for your company. You are about to observe mastery at work, execution at its finest, as some of the grandest drivers in league racing culminate into this terrific scene. We are following the outlap of the lead driver of the pack, XTR Red, in the Silver Arrow around Zandvoort. He is going to be coming through turns 13 and 14 to get his first lap of qualifying underway. As he opens DRS down the start-finish straight, he is going to race towards Tarzan Corner. Let's see how he can hook this up. Stays very close there to the curb, puts down the throttle right to the curb on exit, and is going to chuck his Silver Arrow chassis into turns 2 and 3. Not taking as wide a berth into that turn 3 apex as we have seen in real life Formula 1. You can see the replications on this 2022 Formula 1 game is not as necessarily representative as we see in real life, but through turn 7 and 8, truly blistering corners where commitment is tested, XTR Red weighs himself very nicely and it just looks so smooth. With DRS wide open, he's going to chase down turn 11 as it seems like we have yellow flags out on track, and that may be, I'm trying to work out who that may have been. It may have been a Ferrari. It may have been MVA in the Alfa Romeo as well. And it seems like, in fact, the Alfa Romeo has gone, or he's slowing down, letting drivers through. Don't know if he has any front wing damage. Doesn't seem like that for the moment. But XTR Red publishing a lap time of a 1:11.295. Itchry starts his lap, doubling, completes one, and goes a quarter of a second behind the Merc. Rigraf in the Ferraris. It seems like Dublin slowing down, bringing out the yellow flags through the first sector. Rigraf in the Ferrari. With the speeds clocking up down the start-finish straight, he moves to within 3.5 tenths of XTR Red, but he was third. He's now fourth as Technic Speedy progresses to the front row. So XTR Red still on provisional pole. Itchry on a lap. Adao is as well as Traversport in the Aston Martin climbs to the top of the leaderboard. Logan in the Haas follows in the wheel tracks of, it seems like, Aero ahead. They are both on laps, but who is going to complete a quicker one? It seems like MVA slowing down to let some drivers through, but Logan seems like he's given a bit of berth to Aero through the final corner as he taps the wall slightly. And he sets a lap time that is not going to be troubling the front runners. So for the moment, it is Traversport from XTR Red and Technic Speedy as our last few drivers on their first laps look to complete their laps. And Raz is without a front wing in his Red Bull. So he is going to not see the potential of this lap as he comes into the pits and to get rid of his front wing. Adao in the AlphaTauri climbing to P9, so comfortably in the top 10 for the moment. He has 3 tenths to the driver in P11, but you can see the front two separated by fractions. Traversport in the Aston Martin on provisional pole, but XTR Red, who initially went onto pole position, is being shuffled down slightly. 61 1,000ths of a second is all that separates the two. Aero seems like he is on another push lap. So with his tyres up to temperature, he's going for another try, but he's going to come into the pits. Collide in the Alfa Romeo is on a lap as well, as that seems like Logan climbs and improves to 10th place in his Haas. So the first lap was not one he particularly enjoyed. The second time round was a lot sweeter. Junior, Logan's teammate, currently P8. He is not on a push lap and is indeed going to come into the pits. So then Zandvoort has been the scene of so much in its existence within Formula One. We have seen some epic races in 1985, Niki Lauda claiming his final race victory. Of course, James Hunt's win for Hesketh in 1975 is certainly up there as well. Max Verstappen has forged memories in each of his last two appearances at the Dutch Grand Prix, winning from pole position on both occasions. But there are memories to be forged for our field as well. We have Last Paper, Raz, Dublin and Technic Speedy all on outlaps. See there Logan pull into the side of the road to let Last Paper through, and we're going to follow the Mercedes man's progress. Down the start-finish straight, he's going to arrive at Tarzan with the yellow flags initially out, but into Tarzan he chucks his chassis in, puts down the power, doesn't really ride for it, doesn't ride the curve at all on exit, but into turn 2 and 3, which has proved tricky in the races we have seen around Zandvoort in Formula 2, Formula 3 and Formula 1, as Last Paper proves. The rear end just disappearing there as he hits the wall. And that is going to hold up a few drivers there. But Technic Speedy currently sits in P3. Dublin currently sits in P4. They are both on push laps. Dublin publishing a first sector time, which is purple. He's going to be troubling the front row for the moment with a 2/10 improvement. Now arriving at turn 9, getting the front end turned in, and he arrives at turn 10. You have to be so smooth and so precise around an old school and punishing layout like Zandvoort. Our driver's giving it absolutely everything, and that speaks no truer than that of Dublin. He is whizzing through the corners of this track. He is looking for provisional pole. One more corner to tackle, one more corner to complete. He completes it absolutely fine. He takes a short run to the start-finish line and he climbs to provisional pole, the 111 flat, and as flat as you can get, but as sweet as it could get for the Red Bull as well. Dublin on pole position. Can Drabaspor claim it back? XTR Reds currently third in his Mercedes. His teammates spun out just a few moments ago. He's going to continue his pursuit of supremacy in this qualifying session through the kinks of turns 4 and 5 and 6, arriving at turn 7, a pulsating, electrifying corner which XTR Red is able to negotiate. We have yellow flags out across the track at the moment, but XTR Red carries on. Just south of 3/10 behind Dublin's provisional pole position. And that is not going to get any closer as the Mercedes, struggling with the rear end coming off of the exit of turn 10. And indeed the Alpine of Itstrai has also spun through the exit of turn 10. So a puzzling few moments there for our two drivers. Technic Speedy not on a lap. Drabaspor now within 1.5 tenths of pole position. Rigrath is also on a push lap in the Ferrari. You can see this car adorning its heritage to the retro looks of the rear wing with yellow glistening off of the chassis. But can Rigrath glisten and ripple and reverberate in this qualifying session? It doesn't seem so as he backs off slightly. Profil is on a slow down lap, but he has improved to the top 6. It's Schrei coming into the pits. Junior in the Haas improving by 1.5 through the first sector. The Haas being demoted down into P9 as it seems like Aero has improved and has improved to 6th position. But Junior through the middle sector, he is noticeably up on his provisional time, and he is searching for an improvement that can bring him possibly a top 5 place round the final corner then, as his teammate seems like he slows down, and then it seems like Last Paper slows down as well. Junior then will climb up into 8th position, just 6/1000ths behind Prof Phil. So margins being noticeable even down in P7 and 8. The competition is fierce, and we are knowing why. Adal then in the AlphaTauri going for another lap, but this time on a fresh new set. He lies just about inside the top 10, but the AlphaTauri seeking an improvement through the first sector. He found it through the middle sector. We will have to find out in a few moments' time through the exit of turn 10, riding the curb. That's the small kink towards turn 11, improving by nearly 0.6 of a second. The AlphaTauri really starting to show his hands. 14 corners to be conquered around Zandvoort. He has now completed 13 of them. Through the final turn now for the AlphaTauri, who's going to take the short run to the line. He lies in P10. He improves to P5 and improves by a second. So Adal throwing himself into contention. The AlphaTauri, who sees his teammate on the front row, is now on the 3rd row himself. CVTX Mask in the McLaren is also on a lap, his first lap of qualifying. What can he prove on this tour? Ready to complete the 2.6 miles of this Zandvoort track. He has completed 2/3 of it. Scoring points in 2022 courtesy of Lando Norris McLaren. They have shown decent pace around here in real life, but in the hands of Zoom Racing League, CVTX Mask will launch up into P8. It's Try in the Alpine through the first sector, improving by 3.25 of a tenth. So as the track really starts to rubber in and as the grip becomes a lot more noticeable, the times are tumbling. Dublin on provisional pole by 0.19 of a second. Technic Speedy has run him close so far, but the Red Bull driver is having to look over his shoulder at other competitors, one of them being It's Try in the Alpine, who lies in P11 right outside of the top 10 at a track that is fiendishly difficult to overtake. Qualifying is imperative, a great lap time is imperative, and It's Try delivers that. He now nestles himself inside the top 5 and gives himself a plausible chance with that lap with just over 4 minutes left to run. Dublin on another push lap is just under the time, or just over the time he needs by 44/1000ths of a second. Red Bull only knows success around Zandvoort. Pole position and race victory in each of the 2 races they have contested around this track. But in the hands of Dublin, who is on pole position, he's not going to solidify that pole position as he comes into the pits. XTR Red in the Merc, running P4 on the 2nd row. Can he improve to the front row? No, he can't. Now we have Junior, Logan and Collide all on outlaps. As Cushy in the Ferrari on a push lap, he lies down in 15th place, and he's not finding an improvement as of yet. So the next TR Red is definitely on a push lap now, and that is proven through an improvement through the first sector as he slams the front end of that Mercedes into the inside wall. And just like his front wing, the lap is gone for XTR Red. Turn 7 is a fearsome corner where Ignition and Inspiration collide, but there for the Mercedes. He just ran out of grip. He just ran out of luck. And that sees his qualifying pretty much over. Well, it is definitely over as he is now retired from the session, but he lies in P4, subject to improvements from drivers around him. This is going to be a nervy end for XTR Red. Now, Raz has been disqualified from qualifying for driving the wrong way, which is very, very questionable indeed. But our attention is planted on Technic Speedy, who has run Dublin very, very close. It's the senior team versus the junior team. AlphaTauri sensing an opportunity to dethrone Red Bull. Is Technic Speedy about to do just that? He's 39 1,000ths shy of his best time through the first third of the lap, arriving at turn 8, opening up the corner perfectly, turning in sharply, pinning down the throttle thrillingly. This is a pure demonstration of speed and commitment from Technic Speedy, who sees the championship leader on pole position, just 19 thousandths ahead of him, and Technic Speedy is ready to rein him in. With 2 more corners to tackle, Dublin's pole position is seriously under threat. The presence of the AlphaTauri is growing so rapidly in the dying stages of qualifying. He opens DRS, he chases the line, and he displaces Dublin by a tenth and a half. We're into the 110s now. A 1:10.857 is enough to see Technic Speedy on pole position as Dublin losing the rear and losing his chance of pole position. The rear end getting away from him. And for a qualifying session he is controlled for so very much. It is the last moment there, the last lap, that may have cost him dear. He is going to have another go, it seems. He's going to get to the line in time, but those tyres are going to become rather second-hand. Drapaspor through the first sector, improving by over half a tenth. 1/3 of the lap complete. What else is to come from the Aston Martin? So Dublin is going to have one final go, one last chance at claiming pole position. Oh no, he's going to choose against it. So Dublin is going to be void of pole position. He is not going to be starting from the very front, but it could get worse for him as his competitors really start to bring about their speed. Itchry is not showing his hand just yet. Drapaspor doesn't seem like he's going to be able to show his hand as he is down on his provisional best time. So Technic Speedy on provisional pole. Dublin right behind him. Drapaspor is not able to improve. Itchry is not improving through the first 2/3 of the lap. He's currently P5. Adal running off-road. Rigraff remaining P7. Aero currently lying in P8 in the Aston Martin, but it doesn't seem like he's going to improve. Profil then improving and improving to the 3rd row. That's a blistering lap time from the Williams driver. Aero is not going to be improving, and that's shown once more as the front wing clips the Armco off of the exits of turn 13. And that is it for the Aston Martin, and that seems like that is it for qualifying. Technic Speedy in the AlphaTauri, so it is the sister team, the junior team, that reigns supreme over Red Bull in this qualifying session. Technic Speedy has delivered when it matters, and Dublin is left to rue that mistake, that costly mistake, off of the exit of turn 7. So there is the man on pole position. Technic Speedy in the AlphaTauri nudges Dublin off his throne in qualifying, but with a margin of just under a tenth of and a half. There is a blistering battle to be had. Make sure you don't go anywhere, as this Dutch Grand Prix will really, really start to get engrossing. So then it seems like someone has pressed the let's go button rather prematurely. So this race start will be coming about very shortly indeed. But the sun bathes near the beach here at Zandvoort, with Dublin, the championship leader by a long, long way. He looks to close in on title glory, but will he be able to do just that? So then the driver's ready to start the formation lap then. Technic Speedy lighting up the rear tyres with his cold medium compound tyres. And let's have a quick look at the choice of starting tyre. Technic Speedy on pole on the mediums. Dublin lining up alongside him is also on the mediums. Then we have Draversport in third on the hards. XTR Red fourth on the mediums. Fifth, Itchra on the hards. And then down from 6th to P12 from Profil down to Logan. All of them are starting on the mediums. Then we have NVA on the hards, Collide on the mediums, Last Paper on the hards, and then Cushy and Raz bringing up the rear of the field, and they will be starting on the medium compound tyres. Technic Speedy's a long way clear of Dublin. If this is to foreshadow his race ahead, he will smile with significance, but you may want to close down because that car, it may just overheat on the grid and those tyres will really start to lose temperature. Dublin weaving from left to right is a long way behind Technic Speedy. The AlphaTauri racing through this formation lap. So already Technic Speedy arrives to the grid. He is going to be there for such a... Now look at that as an image. That may be one of the most bizarre pictures you could conceive here in Zoom Racing League. But our drivers are ready to form up on the grid for the start of this race. Weaving from left to right, getting that last moment of temperature into their tyres. Cushy and Raz coming through the banked turn 14. You can hear the noise, you can feel the atmosphere, you can touch the tension. Get ready for a race that is going to ripple and reverberate with true inspirational racing. As the drivers line up on the grid and as they look to the lights, we have a delightful Dutch Grand Prix to be had. Who can come out on top here at Zandvoort? It's lights out in Zandvoort. Who gets the best start? Dublin has absolutely aced it. He's passing Technic Speedy with absolute ease going into turn 1. A bit of lagging there from XTR Red, and there's a multi-car crash through Tarzan. It seems like Itchra may have got involved. It seems like Cushy and Junior were involved as well. But it is Dublin that leads from XTR Red. Technic Speedy dropping down to third. The amount of time he spent on the formation lap on the grid has really started to cost him. CVTX fast, colliding there with the Alfa Romeo of Collide. The Alfa Romeo met the wall and met the conclusion to his race off of the exit of turn 3. And as his race never really got going, Dublin continues his in the Red Bull. Technic Speedy right behind XTR Red Adal in 4th. As we look at the big winners and losers so far from this race, you can see on the leaderboard on the left hand side of the screen, Last Paper gaining 8 places on this first lap so far. But the big losers, you can see as well as Raz passing Logan. The Haas conceding a position to Profil as we get ready to start lap 2 with Dublin 1.2 seconds out in front. Last Paper defending from Raz. Doesn't seem like we're going to have any battles going into turn 1. While that's not true of Logan and Profil, who's still igniting battle. Cushy troubling NVA, the sole remaining Alfa Romeo in this race, running in P13. And here is Raz harrying Last Paper. There's Profil just ahead of Logan the Haas, losing the rear slightly and it seems encountering end plate damage to his Haas front wing. But you can see Last Paper really struggling, and Raz looks to take the opportunity to pass him to the inside of turn 8. The Mercedes is just about ahead, but for how much longer? The Red Bull's going to tuck in through turns 9 and on towards turn 10. He is struggling with those hard compound tyres, is Last Paper, and the Red Bull is ready to pounce. It's the race towards turn 11, but for the moment it is a battle being won by the Mercedes. He's going to have to choose his moments, is the Red Bull. He has Prof Phil lurking in his rear wing. It's passed or be passed here at Zandvoort as Dublin cements his lead out in front. His teammate is ready to pass Last Paper's Mercedes to the inside down the start-finish straight. He doesn't really have the straight line speed. He's not going to be able to execute it. But under braking into Tarzan corner, he sees his chance and he passes the Mercedes. Gripping the brakes. With aggression and optimism and relief, Raz progresses past Last Paper, and on lap 3 he can really start to set his eyes upon the drivers ahead. And there is, XTR Red. Seems like he's been lagging once more, and he's dropped down into P6, make that P7, make that P8. He's tumbled down into 9th place, and after running in the podium places, XTR Red's race has been undone. And he's been spun round there, it seems, by Logan. That Mercedes was glitching on the first lap, but it is being derailed by a moment there that has cost him so very dear. Prof Phil right underneath the rear wing of Last Paper. With DRS now enabled, he looks to seize an opportunity down the start-finish straight. Through the banked turn 14, the Mercedes without DRS. How is he going to be able to defend from Prof Phil the Williams to the inside of Tarzan? He isn't able to execute the move. But there's Itchry right behind the Aston Martin Avero, who looks to pass Logan. They're going to go side by side, and there's a bit of contact between the pair, which sees Itchry progress past. The smile being worn underneath the visor of that Alpine is going to be noticeable. He's gained 2 places in a brief moment, and that is all that he could have wished for in that exact moment. Prof Phil still behind Last Paper. He's not able to utilise those medium compound tyres to effect. Meanwhile, Ringrad closing in on Dravaspor. With DRS on towards turn 11. Doesn't seem like the Ferrari is able to make an impression just yet. Raz still less than seconds ahead of Last Paper, so that may be going to be why the Merc is holding onto that place. But Junior in the Haas going for a venture off-road as he rides on board with Aero to the inside of turn 13. The Haas of Logan saw him coming. Their battle continues into the back last corner, and there's a monstrous collision there as the Aston Martin is thrown into the wall. And he sees the conclusion to his race on lap 4 of 36. He ran side by side with Logan. But as the battle heated up and as the margins grew so much smaller, there was no more margin for the Aston Martin to seize. He is out of this race, and the full safety car is deployed. So that is going to stack the drivers amongst one another. You can see some drivers taking the chance to pit. We have Logan pitting to the hards and possibly getting himself a new front wing. Yes, he has. That will give him performance. XTR Red pitting to the softs. But our front runners are yet to meet pit road. So Dublin in the Red Bull, the race leader who was led from the start. What's he going to do? He is going to commit to the pit lane. So after 5 laps on these medium compound tyres, he has had enough of them. So too is Technic Speedy. Adao is going to stay out on track, worrying about the double stack. Is Technic Speedy earns himself a time penalty, and the Alpha Tauri sees his race after starting from pole being nudged further down the depths of despair. But Dublin coming out of the pits, he's going to come out onto the track in P7 and only just. Technic Speedy will rejoin the track down in P10 and with a time penalty to be served as well. So the course of strategy, the scene of strategy being altered in the past few moments. Aero then colliding with Logan. The Aston Martin meeting the conclusion to his race and bringing out the first safety car of the afternoon here at Zandvoort. We are riding on board with the man that led this race in the opening meters to the last full completed lap. The Red Bull of Dublin, the championship leader who has exuded confidence and dominance so far this season, held the race lead. But it's going to be the art of racecraft that is going to grant him back track position if he does badly want it. He lies in P7 with drivers that just don't have that old tyres, as old as tyres as he would like. Travis Sport on hard tyres that he has since the start of the race, only 6 full laps completed on them, so they're not really going to be dying off. But the adroitness and the awareness of Dublin's racing ability is going to be presented on this Zandvoort stage, as it seems like Junior in the hats may have just had a problem through the first few corners. He's dropped to the back of the pack. He's going to be let past by CVTX Mars, but a minor problem there for the Haas. The drivers really stacking up amongst one another. But lap 7 of 36 here at Zandvoort. We've had different race leaders, we've had crashes, we've had battles, and we're still within 10 laps of the start of this Dutch Grand Prix. Running behind the safety car, wherever you are, whatever you have planned, make sure you are still planted to your screens as the safety car comes in at the end of this lap and racing action will be had. So Adal then, who saw his teammates start from pole position, the reins of the race lead are now in the hands of another Alpha Tauri. Travis Sport will look to hurry him. He'll look to ace this restart and pass him. Adal weaving from left to right, knowing that there's a straight coming up, knowing that Max Verstappen proving earlier this year you can pass at a safety car restart around Zandvoort. If you can time it to perfection, you can promote yourself up into the lead, and it seems like he's got some very healthy restarts, utilising the toe down the start-finish straight. He looks to pull to the inside of Tarzan, but no move is going to be able to come about. But Raz around the outside of Rigraff. The Red Bull looks to penetrate past the prancing horse, and Raz proving a delightful move can be made at this safety car restart around the outside of Tarzan. That was art in its most pure form. Proffield defending there from Dublin. The Red Bull isn't able to wrestle past the Williams, but we've seen one Williams already make a move at this safety car restart. And it was truly glorious there from Raz, who caught Rigraff out and delivered scintillation as Proffield being passed by Lars Paper. Dublin spotting an opportunity into turn 10. He hugs the curb. That's going to spit him out wide on exit. But he still has his eyes focused on the Williams ahead. Oh, that move from Raz was something truly epic around the outside of Tarzan. So planted, so committed, and so gorgeous as well. He's reaped the rewards, and Raz up into P3 is now running within meters of Drapersport, who is in turn running within meters of our race leader, Profil, trying to find a way up a position. As you can see there, it's Stry and Technic Speedy in battle. Technic Speedy isn't able to make a move. He's down into P11 now, so he's actually lost a place at this safety car restart. The Alpha Tauri looks to the outside of turn 3. Can he pull this move off? That would have been something truly awe-inspiring, but he's not able to make it stick as XTR Red passing CVTX Mask through the kinks of turns 4, 5 and 6. He promotes himself up a place. Prof Phil is sick of the sight of that Mercedes rear wing of last paper, but he's still coming. Now as the Mercedes put into a spin and there's debris littered across the track. Faux pas ensues as multiple damage has been encountered by many drivers. Dublin seizing the opportunity to pass NVA. But absolute carnage ensuing through turn 9, and that has wrecked many drivers' races. But back to the battle for the race lead. Draperspor is oh so close to a down now. The AlphaTauri on the back foot may just have to relinquish the race lead in a few moments' time. The Aston Martin isn't close enough into Tarzan. Raz right behind him isn't able to make an impression either. Rick Raff down in 4th is still very much in the battle. But we have multiple drivers pitting now as Logan chancing a move to the inside of Technic Speedy. He takes to the curb and he spins around. He teased the move there, did Logan. It hasn't come about. But here comes Raz down the inside of Draperspor. He's already executed a move of pure elegance. Is he about to make it another one to the inside of turn 8? The Aston Martin hanging it around the outside. But can Raz finally make the move? He's utilising the grip. He's utilising his confidence. And he's battling away with the Aston Martin. And around the outside of turn 10, he makes contact with the Aston Martin. He made the move momentarily, but it gets away from him. He exuded confidence, but that confidence took over. And it sees him drowning in the depths of despair. Raz dropping down into P8 and now only just ahead of Technic Speedy. Pure dejection there for the Red Bull. Draperspor, who's been passed by Rigraff, is looking to claim back second place to the inside of Tarzan, the Ferrari, thinking of hanging it around the outside of Tarzan. But he concedes the position to the Ferrari. Hectic stuff at this safety car restart. We've seen multiple moves being made as Raz still ahead there of Technic Speedy, and we have NVA closing in on Cushy. These two having to pit for new front wings after the contact just a few moments ago. NVA running in the wheel tracks of Cushy down the start-finish straights. Can you make a move going into Tarzan? No, he cannot. But Rigraff, after losing a position to Draperspor earlier on in the lap, looks to claim it back. He'll have DRS on towards turn 11, one of the two DRS zones around this Zandvoort circuit. He can't execute the move just yet. Dublin, who reasserted himself, who is rejuvenated, runs in P5. He's still going to have to make some moves if he wants to claim back the race lead, but he's already made a tally, and he looks to make more down the start-finish straight where he rides on board with the Red Bull. Frothville, is he going to defend the position? No, he isn't. The Red Bull of Dublin granting himself the inside line into Tarzan, but Frothville trying to hang it around the outside. This is a stellar defence from the Williams, but it comes to an end as the Red Bull surges by and up into the top 4. And NVA still glued to the rear of Cushy through the banked turn 14. Down the start-finish straight. It's a healthy exit there for Cushy as he starts to pull away from the Alfa Romeo as he preserves his 12th place. But as the action starts to calm down, the battles are still being contested. Adal leading from Draperspor with Rigraff in P3. Dublin in P4 joining this battle with Prof Phil, of course, now down in P5. But Rigraff will have DRS on Draperspor once more. Can he get a handsome exit coming off of the final two corners? No, he hasn't. Hesitation through that Ferrari as he had to counter steer, and that sees him lose touch with the driver ahead. Technic Speedy ahead of Raz for the moment. The Red Bull looking to battle back past with DRS down the start-finish straight. He goes to the inside of turn 1. They get fractionally close to A horrid moment there. They do make contact though off the exit of Tarzan, and the Red Bull has to relinquish in this battle as Profil now passing Dublin, and it seems like the Red Bull has left the session, and the man, the championship leader, who was favourite at parts in this race, favourite for the race win, may have seen his chances sneak away. Red Bull rejoins the session, but will come under fierce pressure from Mitch Schreib, who did hit at the same time as the Red Bull. So this may just be a sour taste to Dublin's charge. He had to do some overtaking if he wants to claim back the race lead. He's going to have to do even more. Seems like he is going to rejoin the session. The timing board just glitching there. He isn't down in 15th. He's trying to battle past Mitch Schreib in a jostle for 5th place, but Raz down the start finish straight to the inside of Tarzan corner. Technic Speedy, who started this race from pole, has been hit and hit hard in this race. He couldn't convert pole position into the race lead into the first corner, and ever since, his chances of race win have drifted away from him. Oh no, Logan there slamming the barriers going into turn 3 with a wounded front end, with a wounded front left suspension. The Haas crashing out of contention and bringing out the second safety car period of this Dutch Grand Prix. We're just over a dozen laps into this race, and already we have 2 safety car periods to our tally. Draverspor now earning himself a time penalty for speeding under yellow flag. This safety car period is going to give a Dow a chance to pit. So too, it gives a chance to Draverspor and Rigrath. Profil will also pit. Mitch Schreib will join them all. This is interesting. Where is Dublin actually? Because I would have thought he's now in the lead of the race. I'm pretty sure he is now. This is very, very confusing here. But I'm pretty sure he is in the race lead. So, Dublin, he isn't 14th from my perspective, but we will have to see. The Technic Speedy, running behind the safety car in the race lead, after starting from pole, has his teammate right behind him. Dublin, it says he is a lap down, so maybe not. I was pretty sure he was in the race lead. But he's been able to unlap himself. So he will join at the back of the queue. So after starting from the front row and running in the race lead, problems have bitten the bull bullishly. I'm quite proud of that. But lap 15 of 36 here at Zandvoort. We are creeping towards halfway distance in this race, with Technic Speedy in the box seats. Having said that, he does have a time penalty to be served, and he is on noticeably older tyres than those around him. Let's see if this broadcasting thing has been added to this race. Now the drivers are slowing. Technic Speedy slowing down to let his teammate pass. It's very confusing between the two AlphaTauris. So Technic Speedy did momentarily give away the race lead. He's claimed it back, I assume because the Dow's been forced to, but that's rather puzzling between the two race leaders, the teammates at AlphaTauri. So then this man Dublin has been glitched. He probably should be leading the race. Instead, he's a lap down. So that is going to certainly bruise the Red Bull's chances in this Grand Prix. Lap 16 of 36, Technic Speedy leading after starting from pole position, but he is certainly not the favourite. He may have track position, but he has a penalty to be served, and he is on more tatty tyres than the drivers right behind him. Then again, Lars Paper also joins the club with Technic Speedy, with Ringraf and Profil behind on younger tyres, my apologies. If we look at how the drivers have fared since where they started, Lars Paper started 15th. He's now running in the podium places. Adal started in 7th. He runs in the net race lead. And strong improvements from Raz and Cushy so far in this race have granted them positive running so far in this race, but the real losers have to be our 3 retirements so far, as well as Dublin, who has been dealt a hammer blow, as well as XTR Red. Expect the safety car to come into the pits at the end of this lap, and more racing to be published later on in this race. So, with a full house in the grandstands, devouring over the drama here in Dutchyland. That really was not a good term, but amongst the Dutch men and women, we have drama to be delivered. Technic Speedy, for the first time since the opening meters in this race, is back into the lead, but he has a teammate thirsting for the advantage. How is this going to fare between the two Alpha Tauris? We've seen this race being reshaped and redrawn in the first half. What is going to come in these last 19 laps? Technic Speedy pins down the throttle and races away. Who's got a good restart? It seems like CVTX Mask passing Raz, going into Tarzan corner. Then we have Cushy and XTR Red igniting in battle, but the McLaren getting a swapper, losing the rear end and having to concede the position to Raz. Then we have Junior to the inside on the soft compound tyres. He then chances a move to the outside of turn 3. He isn't able to do that, and that is a big crash there. That's an enormous crash as XTR Red slamming into the wall, seeing the end of his race and being collected in a pile of debris. No safety car has been deployed as of yet. We still have more action being had as NVA and CVTX Mask both spinning and both losing places. Dublin now climbs to the top 10. He's taken full advantage of this safety car restart, but we have a train forming behind our race leader, Ringrat, chancing a move to the inside of Lars Paper. He isn't able to make it stick. The front 6 really are nose to tail, and this is going to be an engrossing battle of who can take advantage of this situation. Lars Paper on inherently old tyres that he started this race with, it seems. But he's still defending from Ringraf, and here's Cushy to the inside of it. Try the Ferrari. Is he going to make the move into Tarzan corner? The Alpine hanging it around the outside and has the perfect response to Cushy. Is he able to solidify his place in 7th? He is indeed. Cushy now having to look behind him as Dublin lurks in the distance. That's a stellar defence there from the Alpine of it. Try as Cushy remains behind. Draverspor ahead of Profil, Last Paper ahead of Rigraff, I'm sorry. But these are some epic duels taking holes here at Zandvoort. As you can see there, Last Paper struggling on exit, and the Ferrari of Rick Raff had no hesitation in powering past. So up into the podium places climbs the Ferrari. Last Paper still just behind him, but Dravosspor joining in this battle as well. Through turn 13 and 14, the Aston Martin can see that Mercedes rear wing getting inherently larger. No DRS will be enabled, but with pure slipstream, what battle can be had going into Tarzan? The green machine of Dravosspor has to settle in behind the Merc for the moment, as Cushy now mounting a charge on its stride. Dublin mounting a charge on Cushy. This is a three-way battle for 7th place. On board there with Dublin around the outside of turn 3. He chances to move around the outside of turn 3, and as he puts down the power, he races away from the prancing horse. Crafted with calculation, executed with exactness, and Dublin delivering delight on Dutch soil. That was simply stellar. We've seen some terrific overtakes so far in this race, but Dublin's has to be up there, passing Cushy with sheer audacity and aggression. That was a spectacle. Dravosspor lurking on the rear wing of Last Paper. The Aston Martin will most certainly have DRS. The Mercedes will not, but he will still defend to the inside. Well, it seems like he would, because Dravosspor now thirsting for the inside line. Is he going to make this move count? Still, Last Paper looks for a response, but it's not going to withstand as Cushy defending from Junior. The Ferrari really struggling, yes, on older tyres. He just does not have the speed, it seems, compared to his rivals. He doesn't have the confidence either, and his 9th place is seriously under threat. Rick Raff ahead of Dravosspor. The Aston Martin is really close to Rick Raff and should have DRS down the start-finish straight. Dublin, though, has DRS on its stride. He's not able to make an impression, though, going into turn 11. The Alpine is struggling a little bit with the rear end as Cushy and Junior coming to blows. The Ferrari is spun round, has dropped down out of the top 10. And his race taking a hit, but Dublin looks to improve his charge back through the pack. It's right, isn't going to defend to the inside going into turn 1, but he's going to try and hang it around the outside. Dublin, though, doesn't give him that chance to revive his occupation of 7th place as the Red Bull steals it. It's a job from Last Paper on these hard compound tyres. Still seeming competitive. Even on older tyres, he's utilising his racecraft to absolute effect. But Prof Phil sensing an opportunity going into turn 10. How close is he going to be to a move? The Williams grows large and the Mercedes man's mirrors, putting down the power down one of 2 DRS straights here at Zandvoort, but he's ceasing to make an impression. Rick Raff can see the AlphaTauri of Aidau ahead as Dublin passing Prof Phil, and that's because the Williams, through the exit of turn 11, has found the gravel, or has found the grass off-road, and has dropped out of contention. And here is Raz within DRS of the Williams, with dark tyres that are more in shape, and with confidence brewing down the outside of turn 1. He collides with the Williams, who's put into a spin, has hit the wall, and a miserable lap just gets a bit more sour as Last Paper in the Mercedes. Oh no! Who is driving a race of valiance has now been struck by dejection. The Mercedes, who was showing his racecraft at a serene level, sees his car and his chances drifting away into the Dutch day. Here's Rigraff then. Again, within DRS range of Aidao ahead. But the AlphaTauri understeering going into turn 13. The Ferrari closes in. This is the battle, I assume, for the net race lead. I cannot see Technic Speedy going to the end of the race on those hard compound tyres. Plus he has a time penalty to serve as well. But Rigraff losing touch with the race leader the longer he stays behind as last paper, now pitting to get rid of those hard compound tyres that served him so well for so long. But his race and his chances taking an unwanted twist. The Mercedes now resuming action, but dropping down into 12th place. And here's Rigraff really making an impression now on the AlphaTauri. These two run 4 seconds behind Technic Speedy, who is opening up a gap. He's been on tyres for his hard compound tyres for 18 laps, has Technic Speedy. And he's certainly proved speedy in clean air, but the Ferrari of Rigraff closing in on Aidao. Down the start-finish straight, has he got a chance going into Tarzan corner? He thinks about a move to the inside, but it's not going to be enough. Raz now registering the fastest lap of the race, currently lining up in P7, and with solid points. He should see himself to the end of the race, you'd assume, on those tyres. Tyre wear not as bad as initially feared, but Rigraff still challenging Aidao. The man that is currently in front of the Ferrari is not showing the speed he would have yearned for. He is not upholding the confidence he had earlier on in this race as Rigraff takes different lines to open up the corners. He just knows his race could be made and lost in this moment. The field of orange overlooking Rigraff's pursuit of the race lead. Is he able to uphold and enrich that pursuit right here, right now, down the start-finish straight with DRS wide open, with an AlphaTauri ahead? And with an AlphaTauri still ahead, the Ferrari has to slot in behind once more. But look how close he's getting off of the exit of Tarzan into turns 2 and 3. He thought initially about opening up the corner just like Drabaspor did, but he slots in behind Aidao once more. Technic Speedy now 5 seconds clear of Aidao. If he served his penalty, he would remain in the race lead. But can he go to the end of the race? That is going to be a tantalising prospect. That is going to be a nerving question. Can his tyre management grant him what his speed has merited? 26 of 36. This is a nerve-wracking phase of the Grand Prix. Technic Speedy still leading, but for how much longer? He is going to continue for another tour of Zandvoort, but Rigraff closing in on his teammate. Drabaspor also within touching distance as well. Last paper seems like he's gone for a spin, but Rigraff down the start-finish straight still isn't close enough to the AlphaTauri. Tries to put the AlphaTauri off by diving to the inside, but still the AlphaTauri remains impervious to all the pressure the Ferrari is applying. Drabaspor once again opening up the corner, trying to put down the power on exit. This three-way battle for possibly the next race lead is soon going to become a four-way battle because Dubbin's really closing in. Here is Rick Raff chancing a move to the inside of turn 10. He had to think about it again. He backed out. But still, the AlphaTauri name being adorned on the rear wing of that chassis is a sight Rick Raff wants to dispense of. Through turn 13 once more. Through the banked turn 14 once more. Down the start-finish straights once again. Rick Raff knows this is the closest he has been. He can almost feel second place in the palm of his hand, and he's going to power to the outside of Tarzan. But Adel fights back. This is a stellar defence from the AlphaTauri. Can Rick Raff make this place his own? He does around the outside of turn 2. He threw absolutely everything at his pursuit of second place, and at long last, it's yielded success. Trabzonspor wants to follow suit. The Aston Martin all making contact there with the AlphaTauri. The cars manage to remain intact, but the Aston Martin can stare down and wants to penetrate through the AlphaTauri. Adel really is a mobile chicane in terms of his speed at the moment, but Rick Raff, he seemed to go off-road as well. He has dirt on his tyres, so that's going to cost him a little bit of pace. Dublin running Trabzonspor so very close through turn 10. This, a three-way battle for third place, makes for a terrific pile of action here at Zandvoort. Zoom Racing League is delivering and delivering again. Drama being had on Dutch soil, drama being realised here at Zandvoort, and Adel really struggling through turn 14. He'll have DRS, but so too will Trabzonspor, and as the Aston Martin emerges towards the end of the straight, he goes to the inside of turn 1. The AlphaTauri hanging it around the outside of turn 1 and remains in third place. He just does not give in, Adel. He just doesn't have the pace, but he has the racing knowledge. He has the racing nous, and Trabzonspor having to cede position to Dublin, who promotes himself into fourth place. The Red Bull was at the back of the grid earlier on, and a race that has been dissolved into many tales of tease and tumultuousness. Dublin is now staring down opposing face because going into turn 11, he has so much speed. He goes to the inside, but the AlphaTauri again defending. This is absolutely brilliant from Adel. Dublin almost shoving him through the corners. To the inside of turn 13, he has to creep in behind. Trabzonspor re-emerges in this battle. It's Shrine Raz joining in the battle as well. This is absolutely hectic here at Zandvoort. Dublin pulling to the inside of Adel. Trabzonspor wants to join the pair of them. Adel again to the outside of Tarzan, but this time it does not work out for him. So Dublin ahead of Adel, ahead of Trabzonspor, ahead of Itchry, ahead of Raz. Masses of melodrama arising from beneath here on Dutch tarmac. Zoom Racing League is delivering demonstrably delightful drama. This is truly epic, and there's Junior to the inside of NVA into turn 1. The Haas up into the top 10 now as Raz passing Itchry, the Alpine though, fighting back. He's on the inside into turn 11. Though Raz on the outside, the Red Bull powers past and up into 6th, but the Alpine looking to respond once more into turn 11. He has to slot in behind. Now Dublin is staring down the rear wing of Rick Raff. The scarlet red Ferrari took so long to get past Adel. The AlphaTauri's defence has been superb so far, but Dublin closes in. He isn't able to make the move into turn 1. Trabzonspor now around the outside of Adel. We've seen so many battles into this corner. This is yet another one, and this one is going to land in the favourite seams of the Aston Martin. But the AlphaTauri still, somehow, someway, remains in the battle. Trabzonspor emerges ahead up into P4, but Adel simply does not say quit. This is absolutely superb here at Zandvoort. This is scintillation. Pure scintillation. As you can see now, Raz to the inside of Adel. The AlphaTauri understeering through turn 8, and the Red Bull seized an opportunity. A bottomless pit of drama is being filled on our screens. The crowd revel at the action they are being treated to, and on lap 31 of 36 we near the race's conclusion, with Dublin hunting down Rick Raff. The Red Bull can see second place. He's closing in on it. How close is he going to be going into the first corner? Not close enough. Raz closing in as well. But it's Shride battling with Adal, this time around the outside of Tarzan. Adal has had to defend so much going into Tarzan, but his tyres are really starting to get away from him. He was running in a promising position. He was running in second place at one point. He was in fact running in the lead earlier on. But that feels a distant memory now for the AlphaTauri driver. 5 or 4.5 laps to go here at Zandvoort. What a race, what a thrilling race we have been treated to. This is Zoom Racing League at its very best, and it is Dublin. He has confidence that Rig Raff does not, and you can see that through the exits of turn 10. Can he make an impression? He's going to the outside, but the Ferrari parks his car in the right place. But you feel it's an inevitability that Dublin seizes an opportunity down the start-finish straight. Flicking his Red Bull through turn 14, opening the rear wing, chasing down the Ferrari down the start-finish straight. He's going to pull to the inside of turn 1. Rig Raff doesn't have the response. As Dublin seizes second place, his eyes will be piercing through the gap he now holds behind our race leader. And here's Raz making an impression on Drabaspor, these two igniting in battle for so many laps. We're riding on board with Raz into turn 8. He really is thinking about a move, but he's not close enough. Through turn 9 now. Lurking on the rear of the Aston Martin. It's a bit of a DRS train forming here. They put down the power. Dublin is just south of 9 seconds behind Technic Speedy, with Rig Raff lurking just behind. Junior is currently ahead of NBA. He passed him just a few moments ago. But these two, Drabaspor and Raz, are going to continue their battle, their encounter down the start finish straight. They both have DRS. The Red Bull, though, wants to grant himself 4th place going into Tarzan corner. He chooses the inside line. The Aston Martin again trying to respond around the outside of this corner. Their battle continues into turn 2, but the Red Bull seizes the racing line, and with it, 4th place. How many battles of try and tussle are we going to have more in these final 3 laps? This has been epic. I hope all of you enjoying and watching have been enjoying this as well. This is Zoom Racing League at its profound best. Rig Raff, he does not want to surrender 2nd place or 3rd place in this race. He does not want to drop off the podium. But the likelihood of that only grows. Final 2 laps of this race then. Technic Speedy, who had a troublesome and rather messy start to his race, or ever since it has been smooth and slick. Here's Adal hunting down it straight into Tarzan corner. How close? Just how close did they get to contact? Now we have Last Paper, it seems, in trouble through the exit of turn 9. And he drops down into last place, but Raz closing in so much on Rig Raff. Closing in to turn 7. He's not close enough though, but he's following so well and so efficiently in the wheel tracks and the dirty air of the Ferrari. It's the final podium place at stake. The Ferrari is hell-bent on keeping it. Raz is hell-bent on pursuing it, and off of the exit of turn 10 with DRS. Rigrath is able to defend, but Raz is not losing touch just yet. Into the stadium section now. This battle will continue onto the final tour of this Dutch Grand Prix. Through turn 14, look how speedy that Red Bull is. Down the start-finish straight, he's hunting down the prancing horse. Rigrath defends, he's defending without wanting to let go of this third place, but Raz is going to dance and dazzle around the outside of Tarzan. Rigrath is going to have to concede, and it's agony, pure agony there for Rigrath, who thought his possession of third place was an irrefutable fact. But Raz has reshaped it on the final lap. Stopping there though, because his teammate is not that far ahead of him. The final lap of this Dutch Grand Prix then, and Technic Speedy closes in as we ride on board with Raz, who is eking and inching towards his teammate. It's going to be too late for him to dethrone his teammate in the battle between the two Red Bulls. Out in front then, Technic Speedy, who has resisted his mess, who has resisted his shortcomings. He crosses the line to win at Zandvoort, and Rigrath passes Raz. Rigrath has stolen back the final podium place. That is unbelievable. Rigrath, who thought he'd lost his podium place, has stolen it back. And now they're saying that Dublin has won this race by 51 seconds. So this glitch of whether he was a lap down or not is rather nonplussing. That would be rather bewildering if Dublin has actually won this race. But it's going to be taken to the stewards, so watch this space is all we're going to say. But, well, what a delightful and dramatic Dutch Grand Prix that was. It was enthralling from the very start to the very end. So then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to head off very quickly, but thank you so very much, one and all, for your company. That was Zoom Racing League at its profound best. So then, Dublin or Technic Speedy? Well, it's going to be a long, laboured discussion, but make no mistake about it, Zandvoort has delivered, and we have invested our interest in something truly special.